And the first Tuesday of every month, we have something new coming to you, which is a Q&A video answering some of your questions. We're going to answer them like that.
You know, I think this is something that you need to talk through with someone that knows you. It's really tough to give good advice from afar because good advice is always rooted in the specifics of an individual person's life. But I would say, you know, looking for someone to be quote unquote free from a specific sin is not I don't know that that's a good thing to focus on.
I think looking for progress over perfection is good. So like there are certain things that can really affect your marriage. Porn and other addictions are one of them, particularly if it's an addiction and not just an occasional slip up, but if it's like he's continually looking at porn and making excuses and hiding it, like that is a huge warning sign. And so you'd want to see some real progress before moving toward marriage.
If you're married to someone, you're going to have to work through significant sin issues on your part and his part during your time. You don't know during your time together. You don't know what those are going to be. But I think that maybe the real thing to pay attention to is how are you working through this together? Is this something he's be able to be open about? Or is it something that's hidden? Is it something you can't talk about? Is it something that he, you know, is hiding from you or isn't willing to enter into community about? You know, to me, those are the more significant warning signs than, you looked at porn last Friday.
So true, because you learn about each other and how you work through issues together through this experience. So see what you're learning about each other. Does he not look so hot in these glasses?
These are my blue light glasses that I wear when I'm working because I have to look at a computer all day.
Oh, I love it. He's taking a little break from work to film with me. Isn't that so sweet? So this question and some others, like how deconstruction has affected our marriage, we talk about in great detail in our first episode of season 2 about growing the good Christian girl. It's linked down below, so check that out.
You're not going to figure out unity for the church at large. And even though that's what we all follow on social media is trying to do, I think that's very overwhelming. I think what each of us need to do is think about what unity means in our life. And I think it means having open conversations with people who disagree with you. Almost like you would and even though you know it's uncomfortable, almost like stretching yourself in a workout, you're like, all right, I know this person has a different viewpoint. I'm going to engage them in dialogue, even though I'm not excited to do it.
And
so that's a good way to stretch yourself personally as you seek to bring more unity to your walk and your personal community.
That's so true. And not just to be like, well, I'm right and I'm an argument point, but to really listen and seek to understand and listen in love. So one of my pet peeves is this idea of guys leading the relationship spiritually. It's something that we've heard a lot of in church, but
sounds scary.
I just really think we could spend so much time on this, but I really think that both people should equally be walking with God and responsible for their own walk with God and encouraging each other. It's a shared thing. We're both doing that. You don't want one person dragging the other along, whether it's the husband or the wife. You want both people.
I think a lot of times leadership the idea of spiritual leadership turns into the person who's quote unquote not the leader sort of being the backseat driver. So you want to feel very joint ownership over the spiritual well-being of your marriage and family and partner. So I think that the single best indicator is how's this person's personal spiritual walk going? Are they able to be, to lead themselves and by that be a light to other people around them who think, wow, this guy, he's a good guy. So I think for that, you're sort of looking for feedback from your guys' general community on this guy. And I think that is probably that's probably the best indicator.
So I think both spouses can be getting ready for marriage, by things like learning how to cook meals, not just the wife, but both people should know how to cook. They should know how to clean up after themselves. They should know how to balance a checkbook. They should know how to be responsible with their money and not spend money that they don't have. Like, these are like basic life skills that every adult should have. I don't think there's specific things that a wife needs or a husband needs, because it really is going to depend on your marriage. Like in our marriage, I love Excel spreadsheets and tracking our budget. So I'm in charge of the budget.
Don't like that.
Yeah. And like James loves doing cooking. And so some days it's like, James, I'm exhausted. He's the one doing the cooking. Other days I do it because he was in the office all day. So it's just, it's all about what works for your marriage. So you could be talking about those things as well with your future spouse.
Yeah, I would say invest in relationships that are sometimes difficult. So like, I think anytime you're investing in someone who's younger than you or in a way that you're serving, I mean, I think you need to have healthy peer relationships too. But whenever you get married, that's a big investment in one person. And if you're not used to really investing in relationships, you're going to feel like this is crazy, this kind of time and commitment to one person. So I think really pushing yourself relationally is the best thing to do. You know, I'm not a farmer, but I have been to farm day in our community, and I've seen a yoke. And a yoke, it's like this wooden thing that attaches two cows together so they can pull something. So, like, when you're friendly with someone, you're not yoked to them. You're just having coffee. Even when you're, like, casually dating someone, you're not yoked to them. But, you know, you're going on a week-long road trip. That's kind of a yoke. I mean, that's something that'll stretch a relationship. You're going into business someone, but that's definitely a yoke. You're like, I'm dating exclusively you and hoping this turns into something more. You're trying the yoke on for size. So I would say, I think it's totally fine. You know, you go on a few dates with someone that you think is cool. You sort of, during that time, find out about where they are spiritually. I think all of that is great. But, you know, you've been with someone for a year and a half and you really like a lot of things about them and you feel like you're just reading from two different books spiritually, that could be a problem.
And I think we got to think more than just the spiritual side of the yoke too. Like,
that's true.
Do your personalities work together? Are you like oil and water and constantly fighting? Then you're probably not a good fit. You know, we have a video called How to Know If You're Compatible that I've linked down below. And compatibility is a real thing. I know we like say, oh, as long as you're a Christian, you can make it work. Well, yeah, I mean, you can make most anything work, but do you want to?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Some situations are very difficult.
Yeah. So you want to make sure like you guys fit well together too.
You should totally try it.
Yes.
I mean,
100%.
it's honestly no different from telling like the ladies at your church, hey, I'd like to meet someone. Let me know if you have any ideas. I mean, I don't know if anyone would do that. As I said that, I realized that sounds weird. So
I don't know. Maybe try it.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I love to say this. Online dating is like shopping at the thrift store. There are some great finds. You just have to have a method for getting through the rack quickly because there's a lot there. There's a lot that's no good.
We definitely went through this in our marriage in the beginning.
Personal, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this touches close to home. I think we had to have a lot of conversations about it and figure out what it was like for the other. So for me,
which is difficult when you either feel hurt or accused,
right,
to have a tough conversation.
Yeah, I started going to counseling because I realized a lot of it came from my own insecurities, and I was reading a lot into the way James would look toward other women and not even necessarily at them, but in their general direction. And I would take it personally. And I think he realized, like, I didn't know I was doing this, but it's hurting my wife, and I don't want to hurt my wife.
Yeah.
So it really was, and I'd bring it up. I'd be like, why were you staring at that blonde girl during church today? And he'd be like, what blonde girl are you talking about? Like, I don't remember staring at one. And so it took a lot of like figuring out what the other person was experiencing and and kind of talking through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of counseling. But I think we have this idea in our heads, though, that once you're married, you should never notice another person's attractiveness. This idea of eyes only for you. That is just not biblical, in my opinion. And I think it is okay to notice that somebody else is attractive. It's what it's what you do with that thought afterwards that counts. Oh, honey.
We had a baby fall down.
Are you okay, Ellie?
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize that on both sides that, like, one, what you're hearing from your partner might not be 100% true, but what your perspective is probably not 100% true either.
Right.
And also, I guess this is kind of different, having that independent arbiter or independent...
What's an arbiter?
Someone who's like a mediator.
Oh,
or
yeah.
like Tiffany's counselor
Right.
was really helpful because everything I said seemed very biased to her, understandably so. So it's really helpful for her to have someone that she felt like understood her, but also wasn't just a
Right.
and could give her constructive feedback. That was really helpful.
And be encouraged, like, it's hard and it takes a while to get there, but our relationship is so much stronger because of it. Like, God has used it in our life. So these hard things you go through can make you stronger, and God can we
because we'll all go through hard things.
Okay, well, he's got to go back to work. Thank you, Shimmers. And I'm going to read one final comment. I want to know how many of you would be interested in this. Could you somehow start a singles ready to mingle online fellowship for those that follow you? I know that's a broad idea, but a random thought I'd be interested. Okay, comment below. Would you guys be interested in this? So let me know. Okay, we love you guys. Bye. Can you wave, Allie?